Maureen doesn't really like that song very much because it's got some gruesome lines in it, but I love it, so I thought I would use it because she's not here. You're not going to tell on me, are you? All right. I think that's good. Why don't you just bust in with curiosity about what this is going to be?
Yes.
Well, you're going to have to wait. I have a confession to make. When I'm on the stair climber at the Y, and it's an older machine, it's got a TV set, but it doesn't, I don't see this, there's no words on it, no caption, and I don't carry earphones around with me. Every so often when I'm there, if it's on, I watch cage fighting. Sorry, I'm confessing now. You want to know all about me? You say I hide back, hold back. I like the martial arts, and this is karate, this is kung fu, this is wrestling, this is knees. This is about as gruesome as it can possibly get, with two guys stepping into the ring and beating each other. When spiritual friends go by who know me, I sort of put my towel over the top of the screen. No, I'm not me. I'm not watching any cage fighting. And I don't have text messages. I don't watch it at home. But when I'm there and if it's on, I watch it. So I'm watching this particular match, and there's two guys coming down the side aisle, and you see them, and they're puffed, and they're great shape with tattoos, and they're getting ready, and everybody's patting them on the back. And one particular moment I watched, I hadn't seen this before, but this guy hugs 3 people before he gets in the ring. And I went, well, that's interesting. Haven't seen that before. And then I watched the other guy coming down. He's, same thing, and they're cheering him on. And he's hugging 3 people. And one of them looks like it might be his coach. And I went, well, this is certainly different. And they get in the ring, and they start. And this one guy throws a Billy Jack spinning back kick. That's just to die for. And I'm just like, wow, that was great. And then when he gets up, he goes over to the guy who kicked him and goes, high fives him. Yeah, what is it, Unity Church service? Yeah, baby, good in. And then they continue to go at it with each other till the very end. It's a big mess, And then they're standing there getting ready for who got the decision. And the guy's in the middle, and one person wins and the other one
loses.
That's the way it goes here. And then this guy who lost runs over to the guy who won, picks him up, and he's carrying him around like this. Yeah, he's cheering. And I'm going, what am I watching? Am I seeing this right? I've never seen this kind of enthusiasm for the other person. It's coming from Australia.
Yeah, that's right.
They're Aussies. They're all mates. They know they're soulmates. Yeah. They can come in the ring and beat the living bejeebies out of each other, and then they hug and make up because they love each other. They're buddies, they're partners. And I want to make a statement to each of you. You're all soulmates, whether you know it or not. You step into the ring, a circle of energy, every day, and you meet what looks like a contender on the other side. You know who that person is, don't you? Weighing in at 155 pounds is Richard Levy, and there's Maureen weighing in as I won't tell you on the other side. And here we go for the contention. The match is on, right? The Course in Miracles says whenever you meet anyone, it's a holy encounter. You're meeting yourself. We're all soulmates, we just don't know it. When we look at this last week of the life of Jesus, he's meeting his soulmates, partners from the invisible side who came into form to help him do something amazing. When we look at the story from Palm Sunday to the Passover to Good Friday to Easter, it's a story of soulmates meeting each other not by accident to help to awaken. A Course in Miracles says that every relationship has the potential to become a holy encounter. That includes the casual encounter, the fairly intense teacher-learning situation, and lifelong relationship partners. I was at Pete's having a cup of coffee, and I was doing some work and sitting, and this woman behind the counter was very, very juicy and really connected to every person who came in. She gave everybody that extra mile of energy, So at the end, after about an hour sitting there, I walked over with my second dollar and I put it in the tip jar. And I said to her, I love how you are with people. You really give them an extra bit of energy. You know them by name. It's very personal. And I want you to know that I see that. And she kind of looked at me and went, wow, yeah, I do try to do that. And I said, keep it up. It's good work. And in that moment, there's this connection that happens. We're no longer separate anymore. We're one. One being, one God, one presence, one power. And then there's the fairly intense teacher-learning relationships where you meet someone and it's really intense for a while. And you really work at your stuff. And then you appear to separate. You leave the ring and decide to go off. Again, there are no accidents in God's plan for salvation. You're going to meet that energy again. If you're not complete with the energy in a body, you'll meet that energy again. That's always going to happen because we're talking about energy and we're all one. So there's that time when you come together and then you leave, but there will be a rematch. It may be with someone in a different body, but you're going to meet and greet that energy again. And then we go into the lifelong relationship partner. That's somebody who provides you with infinite opportunities to grow. They're so irritating. And it's because you're both really at the same level that you're ready for this kind of growth. There's no accidents in this. And it says in the Course, they may be hostile to each other, perhaps for life. But if they choose to learn the lesson, great learning can happen. I want to share with you a story of a lifetime relationship partner, a father and a son. And it is a true story. The father's name is Adam, and the son's name is Joey and Vickles, and they're Jewish. They're Jewish. And the father had been part of the Holocaust and had spent time in 3 different concentration camps and saw us at our worst. And when he left the concentration camp, he had no relatives left. Everybody was gone. And he decided that he was going to keep the faith of his people, Judaism, alive in honor of those relatives who went before him. He was going to make sure that it was not lost to his family. And so he was very traditional. He had Passover and Seder, and his son was bar mitzvahed. He was very clear about keeping his promise to his ancestors. And one particular moment, Joey comes up to his dad and says, Dad, I'm going to India. I'm going to travel for a while. And his dad says, okay, that's good. And he goes, I want you to know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to find another faith. I don't get the Jewish thing anymore. It really isn't for me. I want to find what's right for me. And his father's just standing there with his mouth open aghast and says, do you know what you're doing to our relatives? You're spitting on them. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? And he said, Dad, you live in the past. I want to move forward and find what's right for me in my life. I have to go do it. And he does that thing that I've actually heard my grandfather Joe Levy do. He gave the finger that went this way. You are no longer my son. Get out of my house, and don't you ever come back. And he goes, fine, I don't want to see you ever again either. You hear what I'm saying? The fairly intense teacher-learning relationship appears to separate. Off they go in their separate ways. And so he's in India, and he's hanging out with his life and looking for guru shopping to find what might be his new faith and spiritual practice. And he runs into a woman named Sarah. Sarah's about 21 years old, and when they meet, they swear they're soulmates. You know how it is for the first 6 weeks. Oh, baby, you're the one. Yeah, baby. Oh, I know. I'm meant for you, you know. And so they're together, and they're trekking, and they're seeing gurus. And at one particular moment, they're standing in the middle of the streets of Bombay with about 19 million other people. You've ever been to India? There are millions of people there, and animals and everything all over the street. And all of a sudden, up to Adam walks this friend from Cleveland, Ohio. And the first thing he says is, well, Adam, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. And he said, what loss? Your dad died of a heart attack 2 weeks ago. And he's like, I haven't spoken to my dad in so long. Yeah, well, he's gone now. He's standing there thinking, he didn't die from a heart attack. He died from a broken heart. And I broke his heart. It was me. I put him to this death. It's my fault. I did it. I want to say so many things to him. I want to love him and embrace him again. And I won't be able to do any of that. And his heart is completely broken from the experience. And he goes into a downward spiral. And he says a couple of weeks later to his soulmate, Sarah, I want to go to India. I want to go to Israel. I want to go to Israel. I'm supposed to go there. Something is pulling me to go to Israel. She said, well, we're traveling. We'll go. And they go, and his downward spiral continues. And finally she says to him, you know what? I can't be around you anymore. You're so sad and so depressed and so dark, and you're not the fun-loving guy I met. So I'm leaving. And the first thing she says to him is, he says to her, I thought we were soulmates. She goes, our souls are no longer in alignment with each other. And so she takes off and leaves. And he's wandering around, wondering why he is in Israel. What is he there for? And he finds himself coming upon this wall. How many here have been to the Wailing Wall in Israel? How many have seen the Wailing Wall? He ends up going to the Wailing Wall. And the Wailing Wall, and by the way, these are blocks from the kids' room in the back. So don't come up here and touch it, they'll all fall down. But this is my rendition of the Wailing Wall here. And it's a place where people go to experience divine presence. You see, we know that the wellspring of love is open to all of us, but while we're here, it appears as if there's a wall separating us from all that is I am that I am. Does it not? And when people come to this Wailing Wall, they've usually reached the end of their rope. You know, sometimes you have to come up against the wall to finally give it up and surrender to God. And he's standing there and he's watching Yemenites in white. He sees Sephardic Jews from Africa, all black-skinned. He sees people from America with T-shirts on, and all of them are wearing yarmulkes. And they're up against the wall, and they're praying and beseeching and talking to the beloved presence of God, wanting through the small crack to have some sort of connection to something bigger than what they might be suffering with now in that moment. And so he puts on the yarmulke. Notice that it's on top of the crown chakra. Did you notice that? That's where it is. It's the crown chakra energy puller in here. And he leans up against the wall and he calls out to his father and says, Dad, I love you. I'm so sorry I hurt you. I wish I could embrace you one more time. And he starts to kiss the wall. And then all of a sudden, from a deep place in his soul, he starts to sing. He starts to sing from, that's by the way, the blessing of the wine. It's the only one I remember. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And he begins to just pray for this sense of separateness from his father to somehow come through the crack and the light. And then he notices that people are sitting down and they're writing notes. And so he sits down in a prayerful place and he writes this note to his father. Dear Father, I beg you forgive me for all the pain I've caused you. I love you very, very much. And I want you to know I'm never going to ever forget you. Please know that nothing you taught me was ever, ever, ever in vain. And then he goes to look for a spot where he can put his note in. And if you've been there, there are 25,000 notes stuck in the cracks in the Wailing Wall. It's really hard to find a place. It takes him an hour to find a spot to put his love note to God, to the beloved, to his father. And he puts his note in, and as he does that, another note is dislodged and falls on the ground. And something draws on him to open it up. Dear son Joey, if you should ever happen to come to Israel and somehow miraculously find this note, this is what I want you to know. This is God talking to you. I've always loved you, even when you hurt me. I will never stop loving you. You are and will always be my beloved son, in whom I'm so well pleased. Please know that I forgave you a long time ago for everything. I only hope that in turn you will forgive a foolish, stupid old man. Adam Rickless, Cleveland, Ohio. This is what all of our life's relationships are about. Because we're dancing with the partner called the divine presence. In human form, we keep meeting and greeting each other until finally we have the divine rematch, which is always a call for forgiveness, always a call for beholding the truth in another person. And if you can't get it worked out now, there'll be a rematch. But for those of us who are doing this work consciously, we choose to bring it on now, don't we? People have asked me how the heck I stay together with Maureen for 40 years and how she ever puts up with me for 40 years. I want you to know, we have had many of a divine rematch, yes? And there have been moments, particularly when we were younger and had some energy running through our bodies, where there were a couple of fights that happened that I didn't think that we'd get through it. I really didn't think that we would make it, where it looked like we were apart for a while. And in those moments, which just happened yesterday, falling through the crack, always comes some kind of teaching. And this one is really old. Do you remember, I know you do, Renee and Marie, remember The Impersonal Life? This book? This is one of my first spiritual books. It's a channel book. There's no author's name in it. And when it fell on the ground and showed itself to me, I got to see what I most needed to hear from the crack, the presence, the divine, the wellspring of love. Let's go ahead and have that up if we can make that happen, the lesson summation. If not, I've got it all ready to go here. Soulmates. Did you but know it? The one who is your true soulmate is in reality an angel from heaven, even as you are. One of the attributes of my divine self come to you to teach you that only when you have purged your own personality so that my holy love can express, can you be freed from any conditions which may now be causing you so much disturbance of mind and unhappiness of soul. As for your true soulmate, which you have been led by others to believe must be waiting for you somewhere, cease looking, for it exists not without in some other body, but within your own soul. Next. For that within you which cries out for completion is only your sense of me within, yearning for recognition and expression. Me, your own divine counterpart, the spiritual part of you, your other half, to which and which alone you must be united before you can finish what you came here on earth to do. Everyone you meet, you can take it off now, is your soul mate. And until we can pick that part of us up and go around the ring and say, yay, we got it, you're gonna come back again and again. And there's nothing wrong with this process. Don't take it now. God's not sitting there going, oh, that was dumb. The beloved doesn't care. You want to believe that God comes through some cracks? Go ahead and believe it. Whatever you want to believe, God will show up in the perfect way for you to get the lesson in love that you need to learn. The rematch is up to you. When we were about 39, 40 years old, Maureen and I started to take a martial art called Aikido. Anybody know about Aikido? The martial art of Aikido? That's where you get in the ring, because you're in the ring, you're in the circle of energy with people all the time. And with Aikido, how you handle an attack when someone comes at you is you blend with their energy and then you let them go on their way, yes? And so you practice hundreds of moves where you're constantly twirling and someone comes and you move them on. And I remember one time when Maureen and I, we were really, really into it. This is, oh, geez, at the beach, at Pismo Beach. And we're both wearing wetsuits because you can't go in the water there because it's freezing. And it was a good time for us, after we got out, to practice our Aikido moves because the plastic, the wetsuit make it easy when you fall. And so her and I are really going at it. And there's like 80 people at this picnic. And there's some new people who were there. Like some of you are going, what am I doing here? And one of them said, what are those two doing? And then somebody said, foreplay. So one Sunday, I decided, when we both gotten pretty good at doing some of the moves, I had a mat on the floor, a thermarest, so I wouldn't hurt myself. And I pretended to attack Maureen. You know how you attack all the time. Does anybody relate to attacking? Either come this way or this way, but you're coming at someone, you're always doing it. And Aikido has moves to help you. So I'm coming at her, and she does the move that you're supposed to do. I hardly remember it now. And I then had perfected air falls. So I did this incredible air fall whop. If you've ever seen one in front of 500 people, they were like, breathtaking. I'm not going to demonstrate that for you now. My days of doing airfalls are so over. And what's amazing about Aikido is that it teaches you how to fall. You have to learn how to fall in life because you're going to fall. So it teaches you how to fall and roll with the fall. You hear that? How to roll with the fall. It's not so much about your physical body, but your emotional, psychic body. Learning how to blend and work with the energy that's in front of you. Isn't that what we're here to do? Learning how to do that. And so now we're back in our story with Joey. Now Joey has been in Israel now for 3.5 years, and he has decided to become a rabbinical student. And he's with his rabbi, and the rabbi says, my wife, she's a matchmaker. She says you need to get married, and she says she's found your soulmate. And he goes, oh, I've been the soulmate, Beth, forget about it. And he goes, no, just come for dinner. It's an assignment. I'm the rabbi, you listen to me. And so he walks into the living room to have dinner. And who do you think is sitting on the couch? Sarah. 3.5 years ago, Sarah is sitting there. And they're both stunned at seeing. You know when you meet someone you know you've met them before, and then you meet them and you did know them before? That's your whole life, by the way. She's sitting there and they can't talk. What happened to you? Well, she said, well, after we split up and I was sure I was finished with Israel and done with the likes of you, I decided that while I'm here, go trek a little bit. See Israel, it's a beautiful place. And while I was trekking, I fell in love with Israel. I fell in love with the land, I fell in love with the people, and I fell in love with the tradition, particularly the Kabbalah. I knew I'd found my spiritual path and that I was home. And they both stand up and there's this moment. You know that moment in the ring where you finally get it? And she whispers in his ear, I guess our souls are in alignment now. How about a rematch? Yeah? You hear that? So this week, I know you. You are going to be meeting some things in the ring, in the circle of your life, right? Of course you will. And please understand, whoever it is that's on the other side of the ring is there by divine appointment. It is not a mistake that person, situation, and energy is there. Please hear it. It's about energy. Energy has to be met and greeted because we brought that forth in the first place. So as you're standing up against the wailing wall of some issue or tissue, mirror, mirror on the wailing wall, who is my soulmate after all? And if you listen deeply through the cracks, the beloved will say, I am that I am, the divine presence within you. I have loved you now, and I will love you forever and ever and ever. I've been waiting for you to have this dance with me. What has taken you so long to get it? Shalom.